Welcome to the one-year anniversary of Chamber TV. This month, special guest Jennifer Dobbins will discuss the economic impact of the arts, and history expert George Wunderlich will share leadership lessons from the Civil War. We've also heard that Frederick Mayor Randy McClement plans to stop by for a special guest appearance. Get ready to celebrate the launch of Season 2 with your Chamber TV hosts, Jon-Mikel Bailey, Joe Porpiglia, and Jessica Hibbard.
Welcome to episode 13, the first show of our second season. It's hard to believe we've been doing Chamber TV for more than a year.
Yep, welcome. It's nice to be here, and it's nice to have Joe with me.
Wow. Well, thank you for inviting me back. I'm glad to be here for this pretty big show. I'm glad you got all dressed up, John, for the show. It's nice of you.
No rivalry whatsoever. Actually, if you do want to know what goes on behind the scenes at Chamber TV, you can watch a special little episode that we put together for you in honor of our anniversary. It's called Chamber TV Confidential. We take you behind the scenes in our personal dressing room for some interviews with the cast and producer, so be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel. If you're watching online, you've probably found us on YouTube. We also post extra details about each show on our Tumblr blog, frederickchamber.tv, and there's a place for you to leave comments if you want to connect with us online.
That is correct.
Great. Okay, well then we've got a lot to do today. So we'll move right on to Positively Frederick. And we have another post to share, I understand. That's on the Chamber's community blog. Anyone can submit a story, and you should, about anything positive that happened in Frederick County.
This month's featured story was submitted by Don from Infratactics. He's a new member of the Chamber and recently connected with Kevin from Wright Gardner Insurance. He was really pleased with Wright Gardner's customer service.
Say that 5 times fast.
I know, Infratactics.
Yeah, it's great to hear about business connections, especially when people meet through the Chamber. You can read more about Don's story online at positivelyfrederick.org.
And we're always looking for new stories to feature. So it doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't need to get into a lot of detail about it, just enough to let us know what occurred. And just email it to us. If you go, the instructions are specifically on positivelyfrederick.org.
To help us celebrate our one-year anniversary, we're joined today by a very special guest who will share with us the top 10 reasons to do business in Frederick.
Please help us welcome the mayor of the city of Frederick, Randy McClement.
Number 10, it's not Montgomery County.
Woohoo!
Number 9, if you do business with someone in Frederick County and they don't pay their bills, you probably know where they live. Number 8, you don't have to go far to find a great beer. Flying Dog offers tours at their brewery, and you'll find craft beer on tap at many local pubs. Number 7, if you find a wad of cash when you clean out your office closet, you'll have no trouble finding a place to donate it for the end of your tax write-off. Just call one of over 100 nonprofit organizations that are members of the Chamber. Number 6, there are more people than cows, I think. Number 5, the Frederick News Post might write a story about your business. Then you can have lots of fun reading all the comments on the online section. Number 4, picking up dinner on the way home means buying directly from a producer at a farmer's market or a CSA pickup. Number 3, if you don't drive fast enough, the police department will send you a nice photo of your rear license plate as a souvenir of your trip through our town. Number 2, you can't throw a rock in this town without hitting a restaurant owned by a celebrity chef or award-winning restaurateur.
Oh, yeah.
And the number 1 reason, setting up shop in Frederick County means you can be part of the best and first chartered chamber in the United States.
Thank you, Mayor McClement, for joining us today. We'll be back in just a moment, but first we want to introduce you to one of our sponsors.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 13 of Chamber TV. Refreshments for our live studio audience were provided by Sumitra Thai Cuisine, a new Chamber member.
Welcome back. As you may already know, Frederick's art and cultural scene is nationally recognized. We're going to find out more about how the arts impact businesses and the entire community in Frederick.
Please give a warm welcome to our first special guest, Jennifer Dobbins, Program Director at the Frederick Arts Council.
Well, Frederick has, well, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Loved your entrance.
Thank you.
Frederick has theaters, galleries, and other art venues that provide great entertainment value.
Yeah.
But what's the economic value?
Well, the Frederick Arts Council, of which I am employed, did an economic impact study a few years ago, and what we found is that the arts in Frederick County are big business. We generate, as a whole, over $10 million a year.
Whoa,
Yeah.
awesome.
Also, during this scary economic time, we are actually building jobs. We have increased over 10 full-time equivalency jobs in the past 2 years in Frederick County. So
Awesome. Not every industry can say that.
And all of those full-time jobs are people who live in Frederick. They spend their money in Frederick, and they own property, go shopping in Frederick. It's really incredible. And they're all civically engaged. So
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Well, as many people know, I'm a professional juggler in my spare time, and it helps me with my business. But most people will insist that they're not artistic or creative.
yeah, that's true.
The best jobs increasingly require creativity, obviously. So what are your best tips for fostering a more creative work environment?
Well, I think that, art doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to have collaboration, and you have to look at things from different angles, multiple angles. You have to listen to opposing viewpoints. So you need to be able to step outside of what you already know and try and learn to understand all these different angles and opposing viewpoints so that you can work together for a common goal.
So how can employers in Frederick County take advantage of arts and cultural opportunities in Frederick to help their employees feel more inspired?
Well, you can visit fredericartscouncil.org. There are a list of several arts activities that go on throughout the year. We have, I'd say, probably 2 or 3 arts and culture events every day in Frederick County, which is incredible. And I would encourage employers to encourage their employees to visit the numerous galleries, theaters, even the library. There are so many opportunities for people.
And what was that website?
fredericartscouncil.org.
We will put a link to it on the Chamber TV website. Thank you for joining us, Jen.
Thank you.
Well, now one of my favorite segments, because it has to do with discounts, is the member-to-member spotlight. And we have a couple of very creative member-to-member discounts to talk about this month. Tailwinds Over Frederick, which is a new chamber member, is offering discounts on hot air balloon flight gift certificates. Now, these would make an excellent holiday gift. And Lynn, my dear wife, if you're watching it, an excellent holiday gift.
We are also pleased to feature a discount from VillageWorks Communications. Beth Scalacci was part of the Chamber TV production team during our very first episode, and you can take advantage of her expertise with a 50% discount off social media audit services. Beth just conducted a social media audit for the Chamber, and her insight was very valuable.
It was a fantastic experience going through that audit. You can find these discounts and many more on our website. Visit frederickchamber.org and click on the red button that says Member-to-Member Coupons. We'll be right back with another special guest, but first, a word from our sponsors.
Thank you to the production crew, special guests, co-hosts, ambassadors, caterers, donors, and fans who have supported Chamber TV over the past year. We'd also like to thank Roy Rogers Restaurants for providing refreshments for this month's studio audience.
Let's get on to the front burner. Welcome back. The National Museum of Civil War Medicine is one of the most interesting attractions in Frederick, but it's more than just a place for tourists and school groups, and if you were with me on my Leadership Frederick County walkthrough, it's more than just that.
Yes, we are going to learn more about it from our next special guest. Please help us welcome George Wunderlich, Executive Director at the National Museum of Civil War Medicine.
How are you guys today?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Good. Awesome.
Come on in.
It's been 150 years since the Civil War, so we're recognizing the sesquicentennial. If anyone in the studio audience can spell that word, we'll give you a prize. What's the significance of this anniversary for Frederick?
For Frederick, it's really quite amazing because I think a lot of people forget that 3 times during the Civil War there were major troop movements through here, and all 3 times they resulted in major battles. In 1862, the Battle of Antietam, which we'll be celebrating next September. In 1863, just north of us, the Battle of Gettysburg. As a matter of fact, the commander of the Union Army at the Battle of Gettysburg was made the commander of that army down near St. John's Prospect Hall.
Oh, wow.
So we have a very important role there. And then in 1864, with the Monocacy Battle, but also with the whole campaign that would eventually find Middletown, Hagerstown, and later Frederick all ransomed by the Confederate government. So this was a hotbed of activity through most of the war.
Wow.
Well, the museum obviously is well connected to the community. Can you tell me a little bit about this Letterman Institute?
Yeah, I like to tell people we're not your father's typical museum. One of the things that we believe is that history doesn't stop. Obviously, it continues. Therefore, the Civil War didn't end because the lessons we learned from it continue. And looking at that whole aspect of how do we continue to learn, it turns out that during the Battle of Antietam, the modern emergency room was invented. I don't think anyone would say this is an unimportant thing.
Yeah.
The way we manage our modern ambulance was invented. And from a leadership standpoint, it's not so much the technology. It's the decision-making process. How did someone invent from whole cloth an entire emergency medical system and then have it have an effect 150 years later? I want to know how that man thinks. And the way that man, Jonathan Letterman, thinks is the basis for our training institute. He is the ultimate, in our opinion, he's the ultimate managerial, logistical, really case study. And that's what we use him for. We use him as a case study. How do you think like a manager? How do you think like a leader? How do you think like a logistician? And how do you weave it all together into a single system? And it's an amazing story. And it's had amazing impact on those people who've used the Institute for Leadership Training.
Wow. Fantastic.
Well, I love the idea of using history and storytelling to inspire today's businesses. So can you share maybe one of your favorite leadership lessons from the Civil War?
Yeah, I can actually, and I'll relate it to, one of the things I used to do as an EMS volunteer here in Frederick County is you're always hoping you might save somebody's life. Well, the museum several years ago was doing a military training program. And we were at Letterman's headquarters, which was also used by General McClellan during the Battle of Antietam. And I told the story of how Letterman, who, even though he was a doctor, he didn't go on the battlefield and perform operations. He stayed looking over the shoulder of his commanding officer, gathering intelligence and pre-positioning supplies on the battlefield. And one of the colonels in the group began to really get upset and left the room. And I saw him later, he was just blazing away on his BlackBerry. I said, "This was my first time with a federal contract." I thought, oh great, I just blew it. Made this guy mad. And he said, yeah, you just explained why the number of men in Fallujah who were injured, why the number of those who died went up by 25% last week. I said, I don't understand what you're telling me. And he said, he was looking over McClellan's shoulder. I said, okay. He was pre-positioning supplies, okay. He said, when we took the military medical planners out of one building and put them in another, they lost the ability to hear the background noise of the dispatches coming in from the battlefield and lost the ability to pre-plan where they were going. They had to wait for somebody to turn around and say, now we need a helicopter in there to evacuate. They were hearing the call and they were saying, it sounds like things are getting bad in this part of town. Get a couple of helicopters up in the air so when we need them, they're already there.
Wow.
They couldn't hear it anymore. There are people alive today because of a lesson learned 150 years ago on the Antietam battlefield.
Very cool.
That is amazing.
Geez, how are we going to top this guest next month?
Thank you,
Thank you, George. We really
so
appreciate
much.
it. Well, you may already know this, but the museum offers a terrific member-to-member discount. So if you're looking for something to do, check it out.
Are we really up to the wrap-up already?
Yep.
We are.
God, doing this with you, John, has been so exciting. It's just made the time just fly by.
Yeah, it really has.
Really? Okay. Well, there's never a shortage of interesting things to do in Frederick County, and there's a lot going on in the chamber as well. Make sure you check the calendar on our website, frederickchamber.org, to see all the upcoming events. As a matter of fact, I'm really dressed like this because I'm just now getting back from the business card exchange we had the other day at City Hall, which was amazing. Almost 300 people. If you didn't make it, you missed a great opportunity to network.
It was a terrific business card exchange. Thank you to the city for hosting us. We also awarded the Ambassador of the Year award to one of our very loyal Chamber TV fans, Carla Goodwin. So let's give her a round of applause. We've posted links to all the topics we discussed today on our website. Check us out at frederickchamber.tv.
If you're interested in getting a glimpse on what goes on behind the scenes at Chamber TV, including what's in Joe's glass, be sure to check out our special Chamber TV Confidential. You can find it on our YouTube channel or on frederickchamber.tv.
Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to episode 13, and I cannot leave. I'm sorry, John. I have a lot of fans out there that have asked for certain things. So I need to do this because we talked about cultural. I want to show you one of the multicultural things that I have in my house that to share this day, and you need to understand that, so a little bit of something that provides certain music with the holiday spirit. I want to let you know that lucky members of our live studio audience will win this month's prizes donated by, I don't want to miss it, by Tie Scarves, Liberty Mutual Group, and the Chamber TV team.
This month's show is made possible by the following donors and sponsors. Sean Morrissey from Key 103 Radio is our announcer. Kelly Beach is our producer. Prize packs for our live studio audience and special guests were provided by Baltimore Coffee and Tea, Dyneport Vaccine Company, Frederick Regional Health System, Liberty Mutual Group, Natural Fusion Hair Studio, PNC Bank, Roads and Rails Museum, and the Kalos Companies. Catering for our studio audience was provided by Roy Rogers Restaurants and Sumitra Thai Cuisine. And Baltimore Coffee is our episode sponsor. Thank you for tuning in. Join us in the live studio audience when we record our next episode, Friday, January 20th at 1 o'clock. Between now and then, we'll see you around town and online at frederickchamber.tv.